Hey there. I wanted to do a little install video for the Coober ECU for a Vitpilen 701. I bought this a few months ago, and some of the upgrades that were possible was putting a little ECU, get a little 10 extra horsepower. I think stock at 75. The ECU put it to 85. I wanted to do like a step-by-step taking the tank, like the whole thing. I learned immediately I got to take the tank off, and it was a little intimidating. I don't often do this. I don't often remove tanks or do like kind of heavy work. I wouldn't call this heavy, but things like this. So maybe it's a little 101 on how to do it. Definitely sweating my ass off right now. Sorry about that, but I'm going to show you where I got to here, because I got further immediately than I thought I would, and I just want to show what it looks like. It wasn't too hard. I figured it out. I watched a couple like how-tos on removing tanks from other KTMs. I figured some of the principles might be the same, and I could do it here. And I'll just show kind of where I'm at, and I'll show you what I'm installing and so forth. And hopefully it's helpful for anybody out there who buys this part. And if I get through this successfully, I'm sure you could too. So yeah. So let me just show you what I got here. I want to turn the camera around, but I might have to pause the video to do that. So let me show you what I got going. All right, so first of all, before I get over to the bike area, this is the Coober ECU. I purchased it, man. I'll put a link to where I purchased it from. I can't remember the name of the website. It was recommended to me from a Facebook group for the Vitpilen, and so went ahead and purchased it. I think it's around $600, something like that. $600 for the ECU. It doesn't come with it doesn't come with a manual. I found a manual online on their website. I just went to the Coober ECU or Coober site to get the manual, and it looks like it's hopefully it's pretty simple. But here's where I got to. All right, so I got the tank off. First thing I did that helped a lot, and you might have to do this. I'm not sure if you have to, but I removed the plastics. They just kind of clip on and off, and when I put it back together, I'll show you how I clip it on and off. Sorry, my garage is a mess. Got race bike I got to fix up, my Vitpilen, little scooter and such. Anyway, and some parts I just got from Rugzilla. I put on some bar end mirrors, some Rizomas. At any rate, so I got the plastics off. That kind of helped get to a lot of things under here. I took the fuel cap on and off a few times. I thought that might have been like locking in the plastics. It's not. It definitely helped removing it though. I took this off, took the plastics off, put it back on, and then got into the removal of this. This little piece here, that's that little design detail. It unclips, and again, I don't know if I had to take that off, but it definitely helped. You know what? No, I had to take it off to get the plastics off, to get the side, the silver plastics off. But it just unclips. And this piece was another piece that was kind of tricked me a little bit. It sits up in this area on the front of the tank. When the tank's installed, it's that plastic piece up there. It's all clips. It just clips in and out. No screws or anything with that. And that gave me access to the bolts up here. So the three hoses, or four, let's say four pieces I had to unhook. This hose, it's just a breather tube. It connects to this guy here. So once I learned that it's a breather tube, it comes out right behind the radiator right here. Once I learned that didn't have any fuel in it, I went ahead and attached it. This is the line, I guess, that runs down to the fuel pump. And that, again, because I figured I could safely unplug it, because not much fuel could have been in there if it is any kind of a fuel line or anything, or any kind of like, again, another pump or tube. I'm not a mechanic. I don't understand all the parts of this. I just kind of go for it, and I guess I'm kind of brave. Underneath, so I learned that there's an electrical connection. I think this, again, not sure which part this powers, but it was connected to underneath of the tank and had to come out. I reached that early on. I reached up in here and just unclipped it. You got this. This is the other end. So this was what was connected to this piece here. Whereas I'm trying to look through my. So again, because I figured there wasn't going to be too much fuel in there, and unplugging it would be sort of safe. The tricky guy was right here. So this thing kind of gets in your way. I guess this is the fuel pump. This gets in your way. This is the you know, this is what's pulling the fuel out of the tank. It has this green clip underneath of it, and that just kind of clips up and down. Let me see if I'm trying to clip it up again to see if it goes. No, maybe that's good that it doesn't clip back up. So there's a long tube. So underneath the tank, there's this tube here. This is basically that green piece, that green clip. It goes over top of this, clips in, and keeps it from falling out. What's nice here is that in some of the videos I was watching, there's sometimes on the KTM, like the 1190s, I think they have these fuel shutoff valves. No fuel really came out of here. Maybe a few drips, not too much. I unclipped it. I got nervous and put it back in when a little fuel came out, but then I was like, I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. Unplugged it, and you know, I assumed that it's, you know, engineered well enough to know that it's off, and and fuel shouldn't just drip out of there. So I unclipped that. That was a little funky thing to figure out. And then there's also this other electrical connector. Again, I guess this powers this pump or something, you know. And then the other electrical connector is powering some other piece. So that's all that I had to do to get the tank off. It was a little scary in the sense that I couldn't find any videos online to do it, but I got it all off, and that was that. Any little details that I could maybe let you know about is the plastics have this plastic piece right here. It's in the center of the frame. That kind of clips up and underneath the frame, not the frame, but the tank, a plastic part of the tank. When I put the bike back together, I'll try and show how that clips in there. It was a little weird to kind of find that piece. Sorry, the focus is a little not hitting it totally, but it was a little tough to find that piece and a little scary to kind of pull on the tank. You know, you don't want to like obviously break these plastics, and that existed on both sides. There was a clip on both sides, left and right, that holds it under. Otherwise, all this stuff was just kind of like, it just kind of pushes together. Hopefully it goes back as smoothly as it came, well, sort of smoothly as it came off, but I'll as I get into it, I'll figure it out. I'm gonna read the manual real quick for the Coober. I read it earlier. I can't remember all the little things, but it really just says it's a lot of like plugging in this and that, plugging in. So fuck, I hope it goes well, and I can make it, tidy it up nicely and tuck everything in where it needs to go, and we'll see how that goes. All right. So I'm kind of struggling through finding all the little connectors. So according to the manual, I'm going to start going one by one and locating and connecting and doing the thing. So the first one, I think it's called the CKP. If anything's wrong, I'll annotate the video and make sure it's all good. But this one was like located. You can get an idea for the bike. It's hard, in some of the photos, it's hard to identify where the location is. This one was kind of behind this main wiring harness. I just pulled that back and it was right here. This piece, you're connecting, you're basically taking, the harness is kind of like, splitting into everything. So this guy, sorry, I'll try and get the camera better. This was connected into that part down there, disconnected and connected it back in. I'm gonna go through each little step. There's like 5 or 6 steps, and try and find each piece. Some of them are fucking tough to locate. I'm struggling, but I'll try and find them all, and show you exactly where everything is. All right, the next one's the INJ. This one is, so this is this plug here. The guy in the manual, the guy's finger points to it, and it's located right between these 2 tubes here on like that down tube. So this is the connector that I managed to get out of there. You just gotta, I'd say, just be very careful when pulling these out. They're all kind of clicked in and such, so just make sure you're kind of disconnecting it properly. But I'm gonna connect that up to the harness, and I'll show that right after I do this. All right, so I got that in there. I'm gonna put my light on now so you can see. So it's down in there. This is the Coober piece, and this is the INJ. I believe it's the 2nd step in the manual. So that's been connected in. And I'm just gonna keep going. I don't know how the harness is gonna zip tie to the frame yet, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But just wanted to show that one little, that connector down there. And again, this was the first connection I made right here. Let me move this guy aside. This was the first connection I made. This was the 2nd connection. They're right near each other. Hopefully the 3rd is not far away. I think the arrows in the beginning of the manual point to where all the connections that you're making are. It's just not totally clear. Like, it wasn't to me at least. Maybe it's more clear after you do it. So let's go for the 3rd guy. All right, so this connector, this guy right here. This is the Coober ECU coming in. This connector was hard as fuck to find. Swear to God, I think I spent an hour looking for it. It's black. I was kind of looking for a clear thing, just couldn't find it. It was like right up in here. It was right tucked down in there. This is the right side of the bike. So it was right up in this area, you know, like kind of hidden right back down in here. This was tucked in here and everything, and this, you know, the other end that's connected to the Coober now was connected in this guy, and that shit was tucked it's tucked up in here. I couldn't fucking see it. It was, oh my God, I'm so glad I found that. So anyway, got that. I think right now, so it's kind of like I got most of the connectors. I didn't do the main. There's a couple things I still have to do. So I have to connect this guy in here. It's pretty simple. He's going into this space here. There's a connection here. Don't know the name of that. I could look it up and annotate it. And then finally the ECU, which will connect in here and mount. It mounts somewhere in here. There's a piece of mounting plastic. Here we go. That comes with the that comes with this. So this is gonna I assume it'll like attach back in here, something like that. I think that looks like a good spot, probably, that it was made to it's kind of made to stick in there. It looks like there's some double-sided sticky tape and whatnot. So yeah, I'm almost done. Definitely took me a few motherfucking hours. It's not a big job. You just got to know where these connectors are, and yeah. So, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reroute the harness to tuck back in here properly and just make it look all nice and clean. Find out how to run this guy up nicely and just really just kind of clean it up and try and do a nice install. But I have yeah, I have everything hooked up, I believe, properly, and I'm just gonna I need 10 minutes. I need to get I'm fucking all right. I'm just so tired from like looking for this goddamn connector. So I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna reroute all that stuff and make these connections. And maybe the next video, next little clip, next little piece you see will be everything will be installed, and I'll start to put the tank back together, and then show you where all the show you how that shit goes down. All right. So I'm getting to the end here. Basically, I ran the harness here up behind the frame. I'll zip tie it in there soon. That'll be kind of final steps. Up top, you know, everything, just running everything down and behind places wherever I can, you know, just running these wires back. Can't point. Just trying to tuck things away, kind of make it look real nice, just like so it doesn't get pinched, or, you know, when the tank goes on, I'm not sure what kind of clearance is going to be available, but you know, I tried to tuck that guy right back down in there. There's another connector in here somewhere. Both those connectors are tucked down in there. You know, this guy, he's in there. This piece, this guy right here. It's you know, it's all tucked away. Well, you know, in the end, it wasn't too hard. Just finding those spots. But I wanted to highlight this kind of little, when I'm mounting the ECU, it's definitely like not a lot of space back there. So the mounting plate comes with some sticky, double-sided sticky. So I'm gonna attach the ECU to the plate first, and then try and get it up into a good spot. It's gonna sit somewhere like that, I believe. I also had to, back behind here, there is this little metal tab holds on these wires, but the zip tie that was on there, this little nub was just in the way of like the ECU being able to like kind of mount up against the frame real well. So when I put that on, I think there's even like a little tab. Let me try and show that little tab on the ECU. I'm gonna try and get that lined up there and like zip tie that in there. And then I think we'll all be done. And then I'll start showing how the tank goes back on. But yep, there we go. All right, so I got that ECU mounted up. Zip ties on there. Just gotta kind of clip off the extra. You kind of see where it fell into place. And this guy, I did get that lined up, so I have that zip tied to that little tab on the frame, and just made sure not to like pinch this wire, you know, just kind of kept it nice and clean. Next step, I'm just gonna go ahead and zip tie all the key, you know, zip tie all this together to the frame, and just just clean it up, try and make it, you know, real sharp and tight, and then we'll start to put the tank back on. All right, let's just do a final review of everything here. I put my ground. I didn't talk much about the ground. I connected the ground here. I zip tied the little. There's a lot of ground wire, so I mean, you see I have this little wire here. I feel like I should have ran him a little bit underneath more. I'm hoping that doesn't cause any problems and it just kind of goes in there nicely. These connectors, they're tucked away. I didn't tie them to the frame. I could find an extra zip tie. I definitely used all the zip ties they gave me. Right here you can see I kind of connected it to the harness. I mean, connected the the ECU cables to the frame there. Coming down the side of the bike, a couple little zip ties here holding that on. I gotta cut that guy off. I cut most of them, just missed him. Zip tied the ECU onto that little frame tab there, and of course the big guy. All right, so I just wanted to give like a little final review of all those pieces, and let's get the bike back together. All right, so real quick, got the tank sitting here. Basically just going to put it back on, attach the breather hose, this hose here. I have two connectors here and here that connect underneath the tank, and I believe it's like the main fuel line. Connect that guy up. So those are the main connections I'm going to hit. I won't be able to show it too much. I'm only working with one hand here, so once I get the tank on, I'll try and show what I did, basically the next shot you'll see should be mostly everything connected. Maybe I'll leave the little wire connectors off until I get it all hooked up, but that's basically what I'm about to do. All right, so tank is back on. Easy connections were just that breather tube, this hose to here. The guy that's a pain in the butt is down in there, that fuel line connector. Just tough to kind of get it on there properly. Like just position it and get it in there, but hooked it up, it's all right. And then over here, just trying to figure out where this connector is going to go. He's kind of hanging out right now. I think it should be tucked away somewhere else, but I honestly can't remember where he was. And then just the connector that goes to this guy here. He's a little tricky to reach around there and get into, but you can hook it up. It wasn't too difficult. And the tank, it's not connected yet. I'm just going to start it up before I get too far and make sure everything's cool. It's wobbly, but I kind of like, I'm just concerned that it feels like it's sitting on like cables and wires and stuff, but I think it's okay. And I'll just try to triple check what's under there and see if it's all good to go. But let's start it up. So far so good. One sec. All right, so we got it all hooked up. Just had a little problem. There was a connector down here. One of the connector that came out of here, I just forgot to reattach them to the harness piece. So let's give it another shot. Felt like an idiot, but shit happens, right? Start it up. So put the plastics back on and let's go from there. Put the bolts back in, and each step I'll just kind of do a little video going back together, and I think we should be good. All right, so putting the first half on, I find that I think if you have to take the fuel cap off or not, I'm not sure, but it's the only way I figured out how to do it. And it just kind of slips right on. Had to be careful. I kind of pinched this little hose here, so I had to just get him over top of that. Otherwise, everything seems to be pretty good. So I'm gonna throw the other side on and do another little update. All right, other half is on. Just kind of slides right in. Little details might be like this little piece needs to go underneath of this side, so this part here is connected to the right side, this is the left, and the left has like kind of goes on top, just so it all locks together. Definitely easier with the tank with the thing off, I think. There's a little connector here that clips together, and a little tab here that has to slide under the left side, and then this comes over top the left side. So just some little like things, but went on pretty easy. All right, I did a few things here. You know, fuel cap back on, put the bolts back on the top, put the yellow kind of design touch piece back on, and put all the bolts back in there. There's, you know, those two, the two black guys, these two, and the one in the center. I didn't like torque it necessarily. I just kind of they didn't come off. They weren't very difficult to remove, so I didn't like force anything back in there. This thing looks a little crooked. I'm gonna try and figure that out. But everything's good. I already started it up. I'm gonna put the seat on, probably put some gear on, and get it together. I mean, get myself together and go for a little ride. This took you know, this took about it took a whole afternoon. It shouldn't have taken that long. Just not knowing where this one little connector was just killed me. Otherwise, you know, it's a 1 to 2 hour job. But all right, so here we go. Just one last little startup. Everything's back together, you know, roll it out of my garage. Just wanted to kind of do like a little final start video, but pretty sure it's gonna be cool. I already had it turned on. And everything seems cool. The one little piece that I was worried about, he's just tucked up in here. He could probably fall out at some point, but it's just, oh, there he is. He's right up in there. Seems cool. That's that. Hope that it was helpful for anybody. And if I have any other videos, you know, or have any other parts to install, I'll definitely do a little video. I didn't do a video. These are Rizoma mirrors I bought. If you want to know part numbers and whatever, I could post it somewhere for you. But I did that today too. So got rid of the stock mirrors. The Rizomas, they come with like a little nice cap to fill in the spot. But other than that, have to check it out, go for a little ride.